Wednesday will be the last day, so you just have to plan on, being here. Okay, so that we can, work through some questions, okay, so to resolve some of the issues that we have. Does that make sense? Anybody is interested in coming here or no? You will be here? Okay, good. If you are here, I'm here. Alright. So the plan is, okay, today I will try to finish chapter 10. I didn't finish the last section, but which is okay, so, the material is getting easier. And then next two class, I'm gonna do chapter 16. And then the last class, like the next Thursday, I'm gonna, have cover one section of chapter 20, then we are done. Okay, so that's basically a theory of constraint, and I'm gonna show you, some of the, multivariable and the constraining optimization problem, and then how to use accounting to solve that. So then, so that will be a fun class, but it will be short. So then we will conclude for the semester. Okay. So that will be the plan. You all finish homework at 9? Yes? Alright. So the extension works? Alright. So, if I couldn't finish today the chapter 10, I probably will extend the Thursday homework to next week as well. Cause I don't want you to rush, I want you to spend your time and actually work on the homework problem, okay? So, I probably will do that. Then I will adjust my office hour accordingly, maybe move my office hour to next Monday as well. So maybe Wednesday a little bit and then Monday, so for those of you who get ahead and want to join Wednesday office hour, you can do that. I will have shorter hours, but then I will definitely schedule a Monday office hour as well, okay? Alright, so that's basically some of the adjustment we have to make when we get to the end of the semester. So any question, concerns, questions? How you feel about chapter 9? Alright, so let's recap on chapter 10. Okay, so chapter 10 we are talking about 3 issues. Alright, so so this will basically give you the guideline to review, especially for concepts. We talk about responsibility accounting, and then we talk about the responsibility center. All right, so how many responsibility centers are there? Only 3?
Is there?
What are the 3? Yes?
Cost center, revenue center, profit center, and investment center.
Okay, so cost center, revenue center, profit center, investment center, right? It's very easy to remember, right? Revenue, cost, profit, right? So that's income statement. Then you worry about, so investment. So then that will be investment center, right? So different investment, different responsibilities. So there are 4 responsibility center. So different responsibility center, you will use different performance measure. Now, so those are the divisional performance measure we use. So I just want to kind of focusing on, run down the list and then focusing on the problem with those measures. So for instance, a divisional income. So divisional income could be a good measure for what center? What responsibility center? If you were to design the performance measure for different, various different responsibility center in the firm, which usually the cost accountant will get involved, divisional income is good for what center? What type of center? You only have 4 choices. Is it good for cost center? Why not?
Also only deal with expenses.
It only deal with expenses and cost, right? So it doesn't cover the revenue side. You can't make the manager or the division be accountable for something they have nothing to do, right? So it's not good for cost center. Is it good for revenue center? Same argument, right? So revenue center only be responsible for revenue, not the cost. So that's why you cannot use income include both the revenue and the cost. Profit center, yes, right? So profit center, the division will be responsible for both the revenue and cost. So that's why you wanna use the division income to measure the performance for the profit center. Investment center. Yes or no? Investment center is not sufficient because it does not give you the asset side of the story, right? So it tells you income statement, but not so much on the asset, right? So when we talk about so asset management, that's basically investment center. So how do we know, right? So link back to, if you buy and sell long-term like PPE or equipment, what kind of activity is that on cash flow statement? Where do you put on the cash flow statement? How many sections do we have on cash flow statement? Three, very good. So buying and selling machine or asset, is that so what kind of activity is that? Investing activity, right? So that's how you connect. Anything related to managing the asset, especially the long-term asset, because that's a part of the investing activity. That's why, it's related to the investment center, okay? So investment center, they are gonna, take care of, so long-term, asset management. So this is why, when we say, well, so it doesn't reflect the asset management, so that's why it's not a good measure for investment center. And this is actually in contrast with buying and selling inventory, right? Buying and selling inventory, then when you look at the changes in inventory account, and then that's basically working capital, right? So where do you put that? On the cash flow statement, where do you put that? Don't recall any cash flow statement? Where do you put anything related to the changes in inventory? Where do you put that on the cash flow statement?
Operating.
Isn't that operating activity, right? So operating activity, right? So anything you borrow money, so that's a financing, right? So you have operating, investing, and financing. See, everything connect together, right? So that's how you should when you move up to, I don't know, this is is this one of your last accounting class you have been taken, or this is one of the first advanced accounting class you have taken. But doesn't matter, you need to, at some point connect all the ideas together. Okay, so that will be helpful. Now, financial ratio, we talk about this, right? So it's really difficult to, we have a debt to equity ratio, we have ROA, return on assets, we have ROI, then we have, margin, profit margin, GMP. So we have all different kind of ratio, but it's really difficult to combine them together, all right? So then we also have a return on investment, right? So return on investment, so potentially will reduce the under investment problem, we talk about this. And then residual income, it will fix the under investment problem. But doesn't matter which measure we use, it always have the myopic problem, all right? So what's the difference between under investment and the myopic? Under investment means you already have the resource, you have the money, but you decide not to invest in NPV positive project. So that's under investment, okay? So myopic means you do not even consider long-term capital investment for expanding. So let's say you try to expand, right? So then, which will, the return will not be immediate because this is, long-term investment. So then, if you look at the measure, so return on investment is operating income over average operating asset. Everybody get that, right? So now, if I engage in long-term capital investment, try to expand, right? My operating income will not change, right? Because in the short run, within the next 12 months, I'm not able to see any benefit. But my average operating asset goes up. So if this goes up, the denominator goes up, the numerator doesn't change, what happened to my ROI? It goes down, correct? So this is why, so if you want to measure the division by the ROI, the manager will not consider long-term investment. So they will be discouraged. So that's the myopic problem. Same thing with the residual income. So residual income, you have, if you remember the formula, right? So that's the operating income minus the rate time of average operating asset, right? So this doesn't change, but then average operating asset go up, right? So then it's possible you will reduce your residual income or decrease your residual income. So that's why the manager, if you try to evaluate the divisional performance based on residual income, the manager will not engage in long-term capital investment. So that's the myopic problem we're talking about, which is different from under investment. Okay, so make sure you have you understand the distinction. Okay, question? All right. Now EVA, we talked about EVA last class. I show you how to do it. So EVA, so this is the formula. All right, so we have after-tax operating income minus WACC, weighted average cost of capital times total capital. Okay, so this is a financial indicator. So it's basically so until so if the business can generate enough enough to cover all the expense, especially the expense related to the cost of borrowing money, right? So this is the cost of capital. This is the total capital you borrowed, right? So that's basically the total expense. If what you can get after paying off all the tax, right? So this is basically the money you can distribute among all the owners, whoever actually contribute money to the company. All right, so if this is a positive, that means you create wealth, right? So if I'm a long-term, I'm a banker, right? So I loan money to the company, right? So then my interest will be covered here, right? Because that's how much money I put in the company. And then when we calculate weighted average cost of capital, it already includes my interest rate, right? So I'm covered here. But then, in addition to that, not only the company is able to pay me back on my interest, the company is also able to pay the principal back. So that's basically, the part where you think that the company is able to create wealth. And then if you are long-term, investor, the same thing, right? So you put the money in, then your risk premium is already in the weighted average cost of capital, right? So then, so in addition to the risk premium you are supposed to get, basically the stock will increase, to certain, to a certain extent to cover your risk premium. But on top of that, you also get the capital gain from the stock price change. That will be the wealth the company is able to create for you. So this is why we use those measures. Okay, so economic value added, positive, that means company is creating wealth. Negative, company is destroying wealth. Okay, so equal to 0, there's no change. Now the strength of this is, of course, from the it's really go congruent, right? So if anybody who look at this company, and then as long as the EVA is positive, they are gonna invest. Okay, so they are gonna invest as long as the return is greater than cost of capital. So just try to give you a sense about so in terms of size and so how it doesn't matter big or small, the division is always facing exactly the same WACC, weighted average cost of capital. So let's say we have a hardware and software division, So both the WACC is 11%. The hardware is a bigger division. The software is a smaller division. Okay, so we have 1 million for the bigger division and then 0.5 for the smaller division. All right, so if you look at this, right, so it's really difficult to, if you just without calculating EVA, right, so you will say, well, so hardware division is doing better because they are making 1 million after tax operating income. And software division is not doing so well because they are making, okay, so 500,000. But if you use EVA, try to say which division actually create wealth for the company. And then, so that will, okay, that will change the picture. So for instance, okay, here we get a negative 100,000, right? So this is a negative. So this is basically destroy wealth for the, okay, for the company. And then the second one is 280, 28,000, all right? And then this is a positive. So this is a create wealth. Okay, so that, this is basically, okay, where you can see, not just, okay, compare the, okay, after tax operating income is not enough. Okay, you kind of have to, okay, incorporate the, all the expenses. All right, the limitation is also clear, okay? So one is, okay, because we're using accounting number, so it's subject to, okay, managerial manipulation. I don't wanna use manipulation, but sometime, okay, from outsider, okay, looking into the company, you will see, okay, the manager try to manipulate accounting number. Now we know accounting a lot better, right? So would you say, if I'm choosing activity-based costing versus, okay, unit level, okay, product costing, is that a way to manipulate number? Or it's actually a way for the manager to be able to incorporate more information in the calculation, right? So it's really difficult. There's some kind of, okay, very unclear line between, okay, whether the manager, what the intention of the manager has. So sometimes it's possible the manager, because of self-interested, okay, the manager will choose something to maximize their own interest. But sometimes the manager just try to do the best for the company, right? So always, okay, think about, okay, so this is, okay, manipulation is really, okay, put a bad connotation on the accounting number. So I try not to do that, but then this is, of course, the outside, everybody who is not accountant, they try to, okay, use these words to talk about accounting number. All right, so another thing, of course, the calculation is more complex because you have to make a bunch of adjustment to calculate after-tax operating income and also calculate capital. And as you probably notice, if you start doing the homework, EVA calculation is actually a lot harder than all the other method, okay, or measure. All right, the things I want to focus on is basically looking at, as I said last class, okay, EVA is actually created or trademarked based on the concept of residual income. So I want you to see the difference, okay? There are 4 differences between EVA and residual income. The first difference is, okay, before tax and after tax. EVA using after tax because we are talking about people who will get their money after the company actually pay tax. Okay, so we are not getting the money before. EVA also use the actual cost of capital. So this is, okay, good or bad, right? So good thing is, well, so you can actually communicate this concept with other people. The bad thing is it's actually quite complicated to calculate the actual cost of capital. Okay, so I think the finance people, they actually, okay, spend a lot of time trying to figure out the cost of capital for the company. And then, okay, so that's, okay, that measure is not that easy to calculate. The third difference is, okay, EVA use the capital. So basically all the money they got from outside, okay, either by, okay, loaning money, by issuing bond, by issuing stock. And residual income, we are just using the operating asset, whatever asset we use to create operating income, okay? The fourth is EVA is actually a better measure for economic profit. So usually we will think of the economic profit is a good measure for the firm value, okay? So if you wanna think about what's the value of Apple, what's the value of Microsoft, and you look at the economic profit, not accounting profit, because accounting profit is really not a good measure to say. So this is why we have, okay, book to market ratio, or market to book ratio. So sometimes if you are in the investing world, so you probably will pay attention, okay, so is the market to book ratio too high? You do not want to buy the so basically there's a potential, okay, so so scenario where the company can be overvalued, but at the same time you will expect the market to book ratio is greater than 1 because the book profit or the book value of the company is not really a good measure for the firm value. Okay, so that's simply because, okay, so everything, okay, because the accounting regulation, accounting rules, and so on. All right. So this is, okay, so basically all the concepts you need to figure out for EVA. Okay, so I think I'm done with topic 1, so let's move on to topic 2. So topic 2 is really about the manager. Okay, so you probably ask, well, so if a manager is managing a division, if the division is not doing well, the manager is not doing a good job. That's not necessarily true, because the division is not doing a good job, it probably because the inflation, is probably because the gas price is going up. And all these things are not really, okay, in the control of the manager. So you cannot just rely on the divisional performance to evaluate how well the manager is doing. So this is why we have to look at, okay, the manager's performance. So usually the way we, okay, looking at, okay, so in order to, okay, incentivize the manager to do a good job, you have to tie their compensation with their performance. So this is why when we look at the manager's compensation, there will be 2 parts. One part is cash, which is usually a tiny or smaller portion. The other is the, okay, incentive pay. All right, so which is usually a bigger portion. So I'm gonna put okay, a bigger arrow there. Okay, so this is a small portion, and this is a bigger portion. Okay, incentive pay. Okay, what do we mean by incentive pay? So incentive pay is just basically pay for performance. All right. So pay for performance, and then we have to use some measure to measure the performance. So the common, very popular, okay, measures include profit, revenue, return on investment. So we connect with, okay, the first part, return on investment, residual income, and sometimes you have the KPI, the key performance indicator, right? So that will be a group of, okay, different things, okay, either financial, non-financial, you put them together and then try to evaluate whether the manager is doing a good job or not. Now, okay, why do we use, okay, incentive pay? Just try to align the manager's, okay, incentive with the company. So let me give you a few, okay, examples where the manager will not have aligned the interest with the company. Okay, sometimes the manager is not competent. Okay, just not good for the job, cannot do the job. Sometimes the manager is not a good fit. All right, so I don't know whether you have heard about JCPenney's struggle with the CEO, the leadership. Okay, so for a long time, JCPenney has been, okay, they have management issues, and then they have trouble to like position the company in the market. They have been struggled quite a bit. All right, so I don't know whether you know Ron Johnson. Okay, he is the guy who did really successfully on Apple retail store. Okay, so Apple first came out. So the problem with Apple iPhone especially is nobody know how to use it. Okay, so when you sell iPhone, not only it's not like, okay, so you put it out there and then people just go buy, because you have to educate and teach the customer how to use it. So that's why he came out with, okay, this Apple retail store in the mall, and then have the, okay, tech people, okay, on the floor, and then try to teach the customer how to use the phone and so on. So that's, okay, that was very, very successful. And then the same guy also did really successfully with Target. Okay, so then you will think, well, so Ron Johnson basically have no problem to there's no competence problem, right? So have no problem to lead any company. So now in 2011, I think he was appointed as CEO for JCPenney by the board of director. So when you hire top CEO, right? So it's not like so the regular hire HR department, nothing like that. It has to be somebody nominate some candidates. The board of director, which will be the representative of the shareholder, they will interview the candidate and then appoint the certain person as the chief executive officer. So CEO hiring is completely different from the regular hiring. All right. So so he was hired for the to lead the company, and apparently he's not fit for the job. So whatever he did successfully with Apple, with Target, could not be applied with JCPenney. So 17 months, it was a total disaster and failure. He was ousted by the board of directors. So now he went back to the tech field. I think he had another new company. I think it's called Enjoy or something. So anyway, so he was doing pretty good, but it's just for that short 17 months, he was horrible on the job. So I think that's a good example of you can be competent, but you do not have to be a good fit for the company, right? Another so goal incongruence will be myopia, right? So not engaging in long-term capital investment. And then the third one, we talk about the empire building, right? So empire building, the manager, because of self-interest, right? So they want to manage a bigger project, larger team. So that's moral hazard problem, right? So the central headquarters or the board of directors, they wouldn't know what kind of incentive you have, right? So they wouldn't figure out whether you're a good fit, right? So on the record, you look pretty good, but when you put in the job, you didn't do a good job. Maybe competence problem, or maybe a perfect, okay? Or maybe you have some other incentive. So all this will be issues with goal incongruence. And then the whole point of using incentive pay is, we have some measure, and your pay will be typed with those measures. So that's pay for performance, right? So if we get the pay, if we get the measure correctly, we are able to align the manager's performance, the manager's interest with the company's objective. So let me show you an example how we can do this, all right? So this is also tied with what we did last week. So let's say the company's Western division consider a new investment, and then the project the return on investment for the project is 26%. All right, so 26%, that's pretty good. Okay, so then the company's target ROI, the return on investment is 15. The divisional ROI is 28. Okay, so those are the information we have. Now let's see, so is the new investment beneficial to the company? What do you think?
Yeah, it just depends what measure you use to measure.
Yes? Why?
Because its rate on investment is higher than the target.
It's a target 15, right? Because 26 is higher than 15, all right? So that's why it's yes, all right? So if the company, how do we get the targeted, the company targeted ROI is basically you look at all the division, right? So you look at all the divisions, operating income, you look at the firm level operating income divided by the total average operating asset, you get the firm-wide return on investment is 15%. And last class we did an example. So if you invest in a project with a higher ROI, then your company's ROI will go up, right? So if before the investment, the company's ROI is 15%. After the investment, if you invest 26%, anything above 15%, the company's only after the investment, the ROI will go up. Okay, so that's why yes. Now, if the divisional manager's bonus is based on the divisional return on investment, okay, would the manager invest? No, right? So I say, okay, shaking hands, right? Shaking hands. So that's okay. No, there's no investment. The reason is because I'm comparing 26 and 28%, correct? Without the investment, the divisional ROI is 28%. With the investment, because the investment is 26%, so the overall divisional return on investment will go down, will be lower than 28%. And then when the manager's bonus is based on that, guess what? If your return on investment go down, you do not get bonus, right? So it's either 0 or some bonus. So the bonus has to be, your divisional ROI have to be higher, okay? So that's why there's no, it's no. Now, suppose the divisional manager's bonus is based on divisional residual income, all right? So will the manager invest? Will, right? So now how do we compare? Why that's the case? Why yes? What do we compare 26% with? So here we compare with 28. And here, what do we compare 26 with? Oh, it's just, okay, you think a residual income will be positive, so that's why we will invest? Which one is it? So isn't the decision is based on without and with, correct? Without invest and with invest, correct? So then I'm looking at the residual income will be operating income minus 15%, correct? And time average operating asset. Now, with investment, so my residual income, I'm gonna put a hat there, right? So then my operating income will put a hat. And then still 15% time average operating asset, which again, I'm putting a hat there because all these are changing. And then if this is greater than residual income, which is without the investment, then yes, right? And then if this is less, and then I'm gonna say no, right? So, and then in this case, and then again, last class, we did an example. Because now we essentially compare 26 with 15, right? So given the minimum rate of return is 15%. So now, because 26% is greater than 15%, all right? So then the residual income with the investment, all right? So it's not, okay, positive is not a rule. It has to be greater than residual income without the investment. And which is indeed true, because we did the example last class. So that's why the answer is yes. Okay, so you kind of have to go through this, okay, so go through all this. So even here, I'm doing the same thing. I'm looking at the without investment, return on investment is 28. With investment, return on investment is less than 28%. So that is why, okay, I'm not invest. But here, I'm comparing, okay, residual income. Okay. So you always, okay, wanna make sure, okay, you are making, okay, the thought process has to be correct there, all right? So then, okay, once you understand all this, you can quickly jump to, okay, so here I'm gonna compare 26% with 28. Here, I'm gonna compare 26% with 15, okay? All right. Now, okay, so given this, so which performance measure achieve goal congruence? What the company wants is this, correct? So which one? Isn't that clear? Which measure will get exactly what the company wants? So remember all this, okay, you can't force the divisional manager to do certain things, right? So you can only incentivize or motivate. You cannot say, you have to do this, because the manager have all the, okay, private information, they have all the detailed information about the project, right? So you probably even do not know the existence of those projects, because they can just say, okay, we do not have that investment as an option, right? So they can hide this. Even they know there's a 26, they do not have to report. But then, okay, the only thing you can do is to either choose to use a return on investment or residual income as the measure. Now, if you want to make sure the manager will invest exactly the same way as the company as a whole, then you want to use residual income. Is that clear? So residual income is the measure here in this example to achieve the goal congruence. So I just want you, okay, use this example to make sure you understand what do we mean by saying goal congruence. What that means is the manager can do one thing because they have the decision rights, but the company as a whole have another idea, right? So this is what the company wants. Which measure will help us to achieve what the company wants? Residual income, okay? All right. Now, okay, so let's get back to, okay, so different ways, okay, for the incentive pay, you can do bonus, you can do stock awards, stock option, and non-monetary. So I wanna show you, so this is a Kroger's proxy statement. I got this, okay, 2021, so I have an update, okay, so everybody know where to get those information? So this is, okay, annual report, right? So the 10K, you go to the, okay, the footnote, the proxy, they will show you this. So notice, so those are the, okay, the top managers, okay, so payment. So this is cash, all right? And all the others are the incentive pay. So this is basically, okay, and notice, okay, this is too small. So this is a million, 1.3 million. So the total is 22 million, all right? So you can see the incentive pay is a bigger, much bigger portion in a managerial compensation. All right. So now I wanna, okay, kind of show you how the incentive pay actually works. All right. So how you actually, in general, how you align. So you can see, well, so in terms of investment, I can do residual income or return on investment. But what if, okay, you want the CEO want the company as a whole to work well, right? So how can you do that? So stock option will be one way to do that, all right? So stock option is different from stock. So stock is basically, well, so if you, instead of giving cash as a compensation for the employee, you can give the company stock, right? So everybody kind of understand the incentive, right? So if the employee have the stock, then they want the company to do well so that the stock price can go up. So if they purchase low and then they sell at high, that's basically part of their compensation. Now stock option is a little bit different because it actually have a vesting period, okay? So it's a contract, it has a vesting period. You can set the contractual term differently so that the manager, whoever received the stock option, they have the incentive to stay with the company longer. They also, align the manager's interest with the company's long-term objective. All right, so let me kind of, go through this example. So this is a executive, so each executive, can purchase up to 20,000 shares at price of 15, okay? So this is basically the cost of purchasing. So this is basically if the manager want to exercise. So the executive, they do not have to exercise the option. If they do want to exercise the option, basically this is the term. So you can purchase any number of shares up to 20,000 shares of the company at the cost of 15, okay? So, and then when do you think the manager will exercise the option? When the price above 15 or below 15 or exactly the same as 15? What do you think? Is it above the 15 or below 15? A is above 15, B is exactly the same as 15, and C is okay below 15. A, B, and C. So which one do you think is actually incentivize or trigger the manager to exercise the option? A or B or C? A is above 15, the stock price is going above 15. B is equal to 15, and C is below 15.
I think so.
A, there's A, and then C. Everybody, any? All right, so exercise option means I'm gonna, let's say I'm buying one share. I'm gonna pay $15 to get a share, okay? But what good does that do to me if I purchase one share? What's the benefit there? I'm paying $15, I'm actually getting $15 out of my pocket. Why do I wanna do that?
To sell it for more.
To sell it, right? To sell it, and then the only scenario where you want to do that is when the price is above 15, right? So you purchase at 15 because that's fixed, that's a contract, right? And then if the price is going above 15, you sell immediately on the market. The difference is the benefit, it's basically the compensation, right? So that's how the stock option works. Stock option is actually very popular when the high tech. So this is also why part of the reason why in the early when the high tech companies start booming, and then they do not have cash, right? So because they have all the R&D project and so on, but they also want to retain talents, right? So the best way to do that is give them stock option so they can grow with the company, wish the company to do well. Once the company went IPO and everybody get rich, okay? So that's basically stock option. Now let's see, in this case, so suppose the price is going up to 27, right? So 27, now the exercise option, so by purchasing at 15 and sell at 27, correct? So then suppose that the manager can purchase up to 20,000, so that's how you got compensated. Okay, so that's basically to 240,000, where the 240,000 coming from. All right, so that's a good part for stock option. So I remember many years ago, so I was talking about how the valuable incentive the stock option can provide. All right, so I didn't mention the downside. So there's always a downside when you use some kind of incentive pay. So after class, one student came to me and said, well, so I didn't know much about the stock option, but then my company actually offered me for the stock option, so I just signed the contract. So once he signed the contract, so I don't know, so I didn't ask the detail and anything, but he said after he signed the contract, the stock price of the company keep going down. Okay, so guess what? If the price keep going down, let's say in this example, if you sign the contract, the price is always stay below 15. The stock option has no incentive value, correct? So that's the downside, right? So you feel as if you got bonus, but unless the company is doing well, if the company is doing good, you will get bonus. But if the company is not doing well, then you are not that's basically a piece of paper. So there's no value there. Okay, so that's the downside. All right, so this is basically related to the carrot and stick story, right? So for any kind of incentive pay, there's an upside, there's a downside, right? So upside, it's all good, but then you also have to worry about the downside, right? So what will be if things didn't go as planned? What will be the penalty, or what will be the punishment, or what will be the trade-off there? And then usually in the incentive pay, accounting number actually play a big role here. So that's why I have to bring in the Gohart law. So how many of you know the Gohart law? You have heard about this? So I'm gonna read this to you, okay? So this is basically, okay, by Charles Gohart. So any observed statistical regularity will turn to collapse once pressure is placed upon it for control purpose. So basically what that means is, well, so if you start using any kind of measure for performance evaluation for control, and then once you start using this regularly, okay, once you use this heavily, okay, so then it will cease to be a good measure. Because especially, okay, if you use a counting number, right? So remember, a counting number is subject to manipulation, there will be a lot of choices, okay, you can make during the process of producing a counting number, right? So once, okay, you heavily use the counting number for control purpose, and then you will expect that there will be some other, okay, things going on to manipulate that number, okay? So that's the Gohart law. Is that okay? All right, so I wanna use this example, okay? So hopefully this will kind of stick, okay? So something to take away, right? So this is a good illustration about the Gohart law, all right? So that's basically what I explained, right? So when a measure become a target, it ceases to be a good measure. So suppose you measure upon the number of nails, right? So how many nails you're gonna produce? The more you produce, the better. So guess what? You're gonna get, okay, a pile of very tiny small nails. Now suppose you wanna, okay, measure based on the weight of the nail, how heavy the nail will. Guess what? You're gonna get a giant, okay, big nails, right? So the incentive, the effort will go with wherever the incentive will point to, right? So you just have to be careful what kind of measure you have to use, and then what will be the potential, okay, manipulation or subjective, okay, maneuver that can be placed on the measure. So don't expect, okay, you put whatever the measure you put on, that will always be a good measure, okay? So as Gohart law says, well, so when the measure become a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Okay. All right, so then this will bring to a really good book. So this is actually, okay, so a fantastic book. So there are all different scenarios where if you use, okay, in different, not just accounting, okay, so in different areas, right? So in medical, in all the sports field, in all different kind of embedding fields, in all different kind of fields, when you start using measures, be careful with, okay, how the measure is used. Okay. All right. That's the second, okay. The second issue, so let's moving on to the third issue, which is the transfer price. Transfer price should be a really big topic in tax. Okay, I'm gonna explain this in a minute. But in decentralized organization, all right? So sometimes you're gonna have, okay, because the division are evaluated independently, right? So you're gonna have, okay, different investment center, different profit center. So each division, they are gonna make their own decision. So sometime, okay, you can have one division sell the goods and which will be purchased by another division. Okay, so you probably say, well, so that sounds odd, right? So shouldn't we have working process to go from one division to another? But this is actually talking about, all right, so the finish the goods, not the working process. We are talking about, okay, one division producing milk. The other division will use the milk to produce, okay, cheese or butter, okay? Or one division is producing dishwasher. Another division will, okay, building house, which they are gonna, okay, purchase the dishwasher to install in the house. So we are really talking about two different divisions. And this will bring to, if you have done microeconomics, right? So what's firm, right? So why do we have firm? What's the point? Why do we, okay, put all the trades, okay, into the market and let the market resolve the trade, okay? So determine the supply and demand and what will be the price and so on. Why don't we do that? What's the point we build a wall and then so that we have, okay, internalize the transaction? One of the reasons you want to internalize the transaction to reduce the friction in the trade, right? So the transaction cost. So if it's too costly, maybe it makes sense to vertically integrate some of the, okay, so you probably want to purchase a supply, right? So if you really need a supply, you do not want to face the fluctuation in the supply market, you might purchase a supply so that that division will produce, okay, will supply or produce the resource which will be required by other division, right? So there will be all different kind of reasons. And then here, that's, okay, transfer price is basically what we try to deal with in that scenario. When you have one division sell goods, the other division need the goods for production. Now we have, okay, transfer price scenario. Now in this case, well, so this is basically the concepts, right? So we will have a selling division, we will have a buying division. Selling division, that will be revenue, buying division, that will be an expense. All right, so then the records of the money or the price they determine is not necessarily a money exchange, but that's, okay, a book number, right? So you transfer is a revenue for one and then cost for another. Now why this is important? It's important because we have to evaluate divisional performance, right? So divisional performance, you need to determine what's their profit, right? So which, okay, revenue is important, cost is important. Now another thing is it's actually an important decision for the company. So let me explain this, okay? So let me explain this part. Now let's see, okay, I'm gonna use, okay, talking about a milk division. All right, so this is, okay, a milk division which, okay, produce milk, all right? And then I have a butter division, all right? So to produce the milk to, okay, produce butter, right? So this will be the, okay, so milk be, okay, exchanged. All right, so for the milk division, so this is the selling division, all right? So which means it's a revenue, all right? Now, okay, for the butter division, so this is a buying division, so then that's the expense, agree, or cost. Now, if I put this in a company, it doesn't matter, right? So let's see, okay, the transfer, TP means transfer price. If I set the transfer price to be 100, it's gonna be 100 revenue for the milk division, it's gonna be 100 expense for the butter division. They cancel out, agree? So the company as a whole doesn't change. Now, suppose I'm putting, okay, transfer price as 1,000, all right? Then it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter. So 1,000 is gonna be the revenue for the milk division, and then 1,000 is gonna be the expense for the butter division, right? So again, it cancel out. If I'm looking at the company as a whole, plus 1,000 minus 1,000 cancel. Now, you probably think, oh, well, so does that mean the transfer price doesn't matter? Now, here's the issue, all right? Milk division can sell to external market. So there's choice for the division. So remember those divisions, they are independently make decision about how you produce, where to sell, how to invest, right? So those are investing division. And then butter division, they have the choice to purchase from external market. All right, so now it's interesting. Okay, so let's say, okay, suppose I'm putting, okay, transfer price as 100. The milk division will say, well, so 100 is too low. I'm not gonna sell to the butter division. If you want, you force me to sell at 100. I'm gonna instead, okay, sell to the market because the market price is 200, right? So then basically there's no trade. Okay, same thing, okay, if you set the transfer price as 1,000, so the butter division will say, well, that's too expensive. I can purchase at $200 from the external market. Why do I want to purchase at $1,000 from the milk division, right? So this is basically, okay, where if you don't set the transfer price correctly, the trade will, okay, so the trade will be, okay, destroyed. So in that sense, the company as a whole, the profit will change. So this is basically the idea here, okay? So how you set the transfer price correctly, so I'm gonna put a star there. So that will determine, that will affect the total, okay, profit for the company as a whole. Is that clear? Okay, so it's all because the division, they have opportunity cost, or they have different choices or different options. All right, So now, okay, so the purpose of transfer price, okay, so first of all, it generates, okay, separate revenue, cost and profit, and then we are able to evaluate the division separately, and then help coordination, so that's why we have a firm, all right? So the third is actually when the company actually international, right? So you have division in different, okay, so different regime where they have different tax law, the company is able to use transfer price to transfer the revenue from the high tax regime to the low tax. Okay, so then this turns out to be a really, really big issue. So several years ago, I was following this case. So this is actually Coca-Cola, IRS actually sued Coca-Cola, and then finally they won, IRS won. So I just wanna show you how big the number is. This is involved $3 billion, okay, $3 billion of the tax bill, okay, so for the company. So this is actually very, very much known, okay, for, I think Apple also, okay, have, okay, this kind of issue as well. So if you are interested, you can look at the case. But then the general idea is, okay, transfer price is actually a way for the international company to use and in order to transfer, okay, the revenue and from the high tax regime to the low tax. All right, so now, okay, get back to, okay, how we are gonna, okay, determine the optimal transfer price. The way we do this is using the opportunity cost. Okay, so opportunity cost, because we have all different options for each division, we are gonna make sure the transfer price is the best option to sell or buy internally. Okay, so if you do that, if there is, okay, so if there is such a price, you're gonna do that. If there's no such a price, then you're gonna, okay, just, okay, each division will sell or purchase, okay, from the external market. All right, so in order to solve based on this opportunity cost approach, you have to understand those two concepts, minimum and maximum transfer price, okay? So the key words here is minimum transfer price to sell willingly and maximum transfer price to pay willingly. So this is basically all driven by incentive, right? So you have to say, okay, sell or purchase internally is a better choice than the other option, okay? So that's why you have the willingly. You cannot force this, okay? If you force this, then you go to, okay, some different, okay, the cost-based transfer price, which we're gonna talk about later. All right, so let me, okay, explain those two prices. Why it's called minimum or maximum? Now let's see, okay, this is the selling division. All right, so selling division, everything is all about revenue. All right, so the transfer price, okay, to the selling division is revenue. Okay, so now there are two options. Okay, so two options for the selling division. So one option to sell internally by getting, okay, transfer price. So TP is the transfer price. And then the second option is to sell externally. Okay, so externally at the market price. All right, so this market price is determined by the market, not by the manager, not by the company. So this is actually, nobody can change it. So this is given, all right? Now, okay, so if I'm looking at, okay, so let's see the market, PS means sell, okay, is 100. All right, so for the selling division, okay, so I can either sell at, okay, something below 100, I can sell above 100. Which one do I prefer? Below or above?
Above.
Always above, because you want to maximize your own profit, which means maximize your revenue, correct? If you want to maximize your revenue, anything above this will be good, right? So I wanna, okay, so this is the sell. And then which means on this side, no sell, right? That's basically, okay, I'm not gonna consider anything below this. So that's why this is called minimum, all right? So minimum transfer price. So that's this, okay, market price. Now, okay, for the buying division, so everything is about the expense or cost, all right? So then we have, again, two options. Purchase, okay, internally by paying a transfer price or purchase from the market. Now let's see, okay, the market says, okay, so this is, okay, it's 50, all right? So if I can purchase at 50, so do I wanna purchase at a lower than 50, or do I wanna purchase at some price higher than 50? Which one do I prefer? Below 50 or above 50? Below, right? Because this is a cost. I want the cost to be as low as possible. If you wanna give me free at the cost of 0, I'm glad, right, to accept. But if you wanna see, okay, so can you purchase at higher than 50? No, okay, I can't change to 50, but I can decide whether I wanna go above 50 or not. All right, so which means, okay, so this will be, so this is a purchase, okay? Anything below this is a purchase, and then otherwise this is not purchase. We okay? All right, so this is not so bad, right? So that's why this has become a maximum. Notice this has become a maximum. All right, so that's the maximum price I'm willing to accept to purchase. This is the minimum I'm willing to sell. Now, sometimes those two doesn't have to be exactly the same, or even we are talking about the same product. All right, so the reason is that this is a wholesale and this is a retail, right? So sometimes, okay, so when you talk about, okay, you purchase, you go to the retail. Sometimes when you sell, you go to all the other way. Okay, you sell, you go to the retail, and then you purchase, you go to the wholesale, right? So depends on, okay, what kind of market the firm is facing. All right, so the bottom line is you do not have to expect those two prices are exactly the same. All right, so now with the, okay, the minimum and the maximum, so now the transfer price, so this is the, okay, the good thing. It will increase the buying decision, the selling division, and then increasing the buying division, because the firm as a whole will be the sum of the selling and the buying division. So that's why if you increase both, and then the company as a whole will increase as well. So everybody better off. Okay, so that's the key thing. When you set the transfer price, remember when we start, we say one increase, one decrease, they cancel out, it doesn't really have an effect, right? We get to the point that it's possible to set the transfer price so that everybody better off. The selling division is better off, the buying division is better off, the company as a whole is better off. So that's the best scenario. Now, this only happens if your minimum, all right? So this is the minimum transfer price is below the maximum transfer price. So maximum transfer price means this. So this is my purchase, right? And then your minimum transfer price, so this is my sale. Only when you have a range here, then it's possible you will have a transfer price. Okay, so this is where in here, that's your feasible transfer price. Any price you're gonna pay in this region, that will be feasible. That will make sure, so for instance, if I put okay transfer price right here, okay? So that's my okay optimal transfer price. Now for the selling division, so if I go to the market, this is how much I can sell. But if I sell internally, I'm able to sell more. That's good to me, right? For the buying division, if I go to the market, I can only purchase at this price. But if I buy internally, I buy at a cheaper price. So that's good to me, right? So that as a result, okay, both selling and the buying, they will be better off. So that's the idea. Now, this is not always true, right? So sometimes you're gonna have, okay, minimum transfer price is right here, and then your maximum transfer price is right here. So then this will be the case. There's no trade, right? So it's not all the time you're gonna have trade. Okay? All right. So now I want to talk about. So let me talk about the first case, and then I want to leave the second case to next class. So I want to talk about the three methods. 1, 2, and 3, market-based negotiated, which is okay. So this is the most complicated one. Then cost-based. All right. So market-based is if you have a steady market, competitive. Okay. So everybody go there and purchase and sell, and then you always use the market price. All right. So and then the good thing is, well, so this is why there's actually some company they hire people to just try to set a transfer price. So then you just look for the, okay, the market price and the transfer price will equal to the market price. So that's okay, the trouble is, this is not always available. Okay, so sometimes the market price is not available, and what are you gonna do, right? So let's, look at the case where this is available. Okay, so, appliances division and housing division, okay? Both division is, investing center, so then they will use ROI to evaluate their performance, alright? So appliances division, they manufacture dishwasher 20,000, and the housing division, they actually, manufacture, they need 4,000 dishwasher. So this is basically, what I like you to do, whenever you look at the question, you're gonna figure out who is the selling division, who is the buying division. So appliance division is the selling division, housing division is the buying division, okay? So that's basically, if you wanna remind yourself, this is the revenue, this is the expense, alright? So then the capacity is 20,000, you worry about the capacity, and they require 4,000, so we are good, okay? So they want to buy 4,000, we can produce 20,000, no problem. And then, so that's basically all the information. And then we have, the variable cost, so 42,698 and all that. Now, if the dishwasher produce and sell at external market for 300, alright? So what should be the transfer price? Assume the market is perfectly competitive. So this is how you analyze. For appliances division, so this is a selling, if I sell externally, so that will be 300, alright? So if I sell internally, that will be transfer price. So I want option 2 to be good. So to choose option 2 is better than option 1, alright? So it must be transfer price, which is the revenue, greater than 300, correct? Which means the minimum transfer price is equal to 300. Alright, so that is the, so how you get the minimum. For housing division, so this is buying, alright? So if I buy externally, I'm gonna pay 300. If I buy internally, I'm gonna pay transfer price. So to make sure option 2 is greater than option 1, alright, because we are talking about cost. So your costs have to be lower, than if you purchase from external market. So which means your maximum transfer price equals 300. So you need to go through this, thought process. Later on I'm gonna go quicker, say, what's the minimum for selling, what's the maximum for buying. Alright, so once you get this, now 300, so for the sell, so this is the minimum. For the buy, so this is the maximum. Alright, so I do have an overlap. The overlap of those two is just 1 point. So that's why the optimal transfer price will just be this point. Alright, so 300. So that's how you determine the optimal transfer price. Alright, so I think I'm gonna stop here, so then pick up on Thursday. Alright, don't worry about the homework. I probably will extend that because we didn't finish.